Welcome everybody to the Thought Channel. This is episode 3 of the Ask Reddit series. Today's episode, which apocalypse would you like to see end humanity? False vacuum. Nobody would have even have enough time to know what they died. They would just be a blip now and everything's gone like it never existed, like a soap bubble popping. I've heard of false vacuum in passing. Can you explain it? At a very high level, it suggests that our universe may not be in its most stable form. Imagine rolling a ball down a hill. The ball will stop when there is no path to a lower point that it can roll down to. The lowest point is at the bottom of the hill, which would be analogous to the most stable true vacuum state. But maybe there is a little dip in the hill that the ball catches in. This would be a false vacuum, a lowest point in a small area. If a minor earthquake occurs, it could nudge the ball out of this local minimum and send it rolling down the hill again. If we are in a false vacuum universe, then at any time some point in space may spontaneously decay into a more stable form. This more stable vacuum state would then spread at the speed of light as an expanding bubble. Within that bubble would be what is effectively a new universe. It would be most similar to our current universe with similar laws and constants, in which some parts of our universe could survive the transition to varying degrees, or it could be drastically different, destroying everything as all the matter and energy in our universe is rearranged into a new reality. It's a rather unique doomsday scenario. We have no way to know how likely it is or what the effects would be. We have no hope of protecting ourselves from it, let alone preventing it. We would never even know it was coming. We would just cease to exist. Well, I'm going to spoil it, but we've got a lot of butterfly effect things to work from. Not to mention, they kind of open up to a multiverse. Warkeel says, I guess Vanya's taking a big dump, blows up the world, and last month 5 time travels 24 hours backwards to stop Vanya and Claw's epic pub crawl at All You Can Eat Taco Fest. Okay, not sure what that's about. Let's see here. Animals taking over the world: monkeys, dolphins, or squirrels. You messed with the wrong squirrels, Morty. I'll never mess with them. Let's see. Contagious apathy. No one would care to do anything about it. Let's see here. Didn't this happen in Firefly or Serenity? It's been a while since I've watched it. The whole planet had this apathy that caused them to just for where they sat just because they couldn't be bothered to eat or move. Honestly, really creepy. Yep, in Serenity, an experimental chemical meant to quell aggression just made everyone give up, lay down, and not get up again, except for the ones who got ultra aggressive, the Reavers. Yes, Serenity, it was a virus that was supposed to completely end aggression, but it didn't work. It split the population in two. Those were the 100% apathetic to everything, and the Reavers, who were basically the whole population's aggression and a select few. This is called the semantic apocalypse, the complete and utter destruction of meaning. Sure sounds like 2020. Bring back the dinosaurs. We'll just hunt them, and then we'll become an endangered species. After that, we'll have to make laws to conserve dinosaurs. We'll probably end up making some sort of nature reserve or park to put them all in. On an island, of course, to prevent poaching and accidental escapes. While we're at it, let's make sure that they can't breed. If there aren't a lot of dinos, we can hire the cheapest IT guy to keep track of them. You really should consider sparing no expenses, except the IT department for some reason. Birds we never left. Chicken, I'll do you a trick, mate. KFC checkmate. That's our secret, human. We were always a dinosaur. Sucked into a black hole. I like the idea of spaghettification. Do you want to be eternal spaghetti? Rest in spaghetti, never forgetty. Deadly gamma ray burst, quick and efficient. Instant planet-wide sterilization if it's powerful enough and directly on target. Definitely the best answer. Some great story ideas, but think less global vasectomy and more Death Star single reactor ignition on steroids. This will be a great series of novels, especially if humanity knew it had happened. Book 1, paper, the first chapter is the immediate aftermath. Most of humanity is in disbelief, think it's a hoax or nonsense. The rest of the book is a year later. No baby has been conceived in 12 months, none born in 3. The truth is dawning on all but the craziest of conspirators. Many species of insect have failed to appear, and many crop failures due to lack of pollination. The book focuses on world leaders struggling to deal with mass panic despite not knowing what is going on. Book 2, Wood. It's been 5 years. The food industry has changed dramatically, involving mass manual pollination. Billions have died before it got to this stage. Wild animals and fish have dwindled and no longer a viable food source. Meat prices have soared. The price of tins of spam have growth rivaling Bitcoin. The book deals with chaos of food shortages and is about a British farmer now stuck in a flat who recounts having to defend against raiders in the early years to losing his farm to mandatory government takeovers. Book 3, Crystal. It's been 15 years. Society has stabilized after sustainable food systems have been built, but schools are preparing to close down as the final set of pupils nears graduation. Efforts to create humans outside of the body all fail. The book follows the story of a 50-year-old teacher who questions her purpose with no students. Her last students have been very different outlook on life to her at her age, and much of the book focuses on decisions between them and her. Book 4, Silver. 25 years after the event, the last dog on Earth passes away. Animatronic pets are all the rage, as are tortoise pets. Human cloning experiments have no success. People are becoming more decadent. The world is more about selfishness and carnal pleasures. The book is about a group of religious leaders who mourn the loss of their congregations, lose their faith. Book 5, Coral. 35 years after the event, mankind has largely given up hope of regaining fertility. Its efforts are put into creating an AI that resembles the human mind as closely as possible. Book 6, Emerald. 55 years after the event, the last female human reaches menopause. Humanity is united in its grief. Great AI has reached a near human level of behavior. It decides to replicate itself. Humanity reacts in disgust and destroys the AI. There is a civil war between those who wish the AI to preserve humanity's memory versus those who found it an insult to humanity's existence. This is edited. I'm rambling on now, so stop, especially people are right. It's been done in Child of Men already. Via Nocturna says this is actually a very interesting thing to theorize about how mankind would first discover that no baby is ever going to be born, and how would it face their impending doom. If we'd enjoy a brief moment of relapse from all the food and overpopulation problems, would society collapse in a nihilistic, we're all going to be extinct in 100 years mindset? I mean, if you're 30, you're still going to live another 50 years. You can't just leave work. This is not a next week an asteroid's going to hit us scenario. How would the last young persons on Earth be treated? Would there still be wars since it wouldn't matter anymore in a generation? There are also so many things to think about in this scenario. Handmaid's Tale basically operates in this premise. Women who are still able to give birth are formed into slavery for the ruling class. I hate to burst your bubble, but the OP was more referring to the none left alive version of sterilization as opposed to not being able to reproduce. A direct hit from a gamma ray burst would pretty much vaporize any spot directly hit and deplete the ozone in the ozone layer to the point where it wouldn't be suitable for human life. Really cool idea, but a gamma ray burst would not sterilize humanity but the Earth. It would instantly kill everything. There wouldn't be any survivors. This is what I want. My worst fear is leaving my kids behind, for them to suffer. If the world is going to end, I want it to be quick and thorough. And honestly, I don't want the sirens to go off if I'm going to be in a nuclear war. Just let me be doing me, look up and go, was that bright, and then boom. This is like one of my worst fears. I live in Florida, and for some reason I get this dumb thought on my drive home from work that what if all of a sudden I see 100-foot wave cresting over the horizon? It's like an oh crap, I have time to think, but not time to do anything about it. Someone clubs themselves and kills everyone else because they can't control them. If the Garys will wipe out all of humanity, Gary. A global viral pandemic that only attacks human fertility. There's a film about this, but the name escapes me. Edit Child of Men was the film I was thinking about, but I've now found a lot of new things to watch. Let's see here. Handmaid's Tale's international human fertility shortage due to environmental causation. I think we would be conceivably survive this. Assume everyone on Earth becomes infertile. Despite that, we have frozen eggs ready and everything else ready to go. Granted, any children born of it could also get the disease, but think of it as a race. Everyone on Earth right now is getting older, and it's a race to get prepared enough to create the new babies before the last person dies or everyone is too old to finish fixing stuff. You have to essentially fix two problems: ensure that the new generation doesn't get the disease, and make sure that there's enough